Alright guys, welcome back to another market analysis video. Today, SPY put in the lowest volume day of the year. The only other lowest volume day of the year, or the next lowest volume day of the year, was actually last week. It was only about 700,000 short of the other lowest volume day of the year, but we also had very little movement. We only moved a total of $2.53 today, which our average 10-day range is $6.13. So I pretty much expected a range day today. If you read my CPI or my other analysis, you guys know I was expecting a pretty big 2 p.m. drop, which we did get a 2 p.m. drop. However, 410.3 held as pretty strong support, so we weren't able to make it through there today, but tomorrow's CPI in the morning, and it'll be really interesting to see where we end up. So looking at the daily chart here, I'm just going to turn my volume off real quick here. Overall, we blew through some support. So I told you guys yesterday, I was watching on futures, that we were pretty much definitely going to open below the blue and go through the red. So I expected that would happen with SPY, and would you look at that, it sure did. So we can go ahead and get rid of this support line. And the most important one here that I want you guys to see is this 9-week long blue support channel right here. It is officially broken. So that's a pretty bearish omen in the market, if you would. It looks like we're seeing quite a bit of consolidation right here between this 414.5 and 407.6, 407.5 level. So now we can go ahead and get rid of this. I'm going to keep this resistance line just as a future reference, just in case we do break back out, but most likely here, I'm sure you're just going to get rid of it. And we have these other more realistic resistance lines here. So now we're just kind of waiting. I'm going to throw this one on here, this new support line here, and just kind of watch that and see what happens with that. Sometimes those will just play out, but we'll watch and see using the next lowest point. So overall, the bears, or the bulls, yeah, I guess the bears, touched the 8 EMA on the daily today. That was the first time we've actually touched it since July 27th. But they held it very well. I mean, you saw today we bounced directly off of it at that 410.2, 410.3 level. I'll be watching that closely tomorrow. We were not able to retest actual support down here at 409.7. I would have liked to see a support test there, but we didn't get there. However, we did hold this 412 level pretty well today. That was pretty strong resistance almost all day. So supports I'm watching tomorrow. This is kind of speculative because with CPI, we can pretty much expect at least 1% to 2% move. So while these supports and resistances do matter, and they will come back into play, with an expected big move like that, it almost doesn't matter because it will blow through a support and gap down or gap up and not really matter at the moment. It'll matter more to going into Thursday. But what I'm watching for mainly is down here at 407.5. This has been pretty big support. So if we break through this and we drop through 405.4, which would take, just calculate this out real quick here, a 1.5% drop would bring us down to 405.4. That to me would signal that we might come down here and see 390. We didn't get the big sell-off that I was expecting with CPI. We're almost looking pretty much like identical to July's CPI right here. You see we have this kind of almost doji-like candle, and then we just had kind of a smaller, like just below candle, and then we have the big red candle. So it'll be interesting to watch because obviously you guys know what happened. We opened killer red on that CPI, but then we ran all day long, and the next day is when we had the massive gap down. Let me see if I can pull my thing up here to tell exactly how much we did. So yeah, then the next day we also had a 1.4% gap down, and then a red day, and then we kind of recovered from there. So it'd be interesting to see. I mean, if this scenario right here plays out, we're looking at a support bounce at about 405. Resistance wise, I'm looking at that 417.25, so that gives us a let's see, a 1.4-ish% pop tomorrow will put us here at this level. So this is most important to me because this is the daily 200 EMA. Obviously we hard rejected there. I would suspect though, since we did hard reject the 200 EMA that we will eventually actually retest this 100 EMA, which I kind of think will happen tomorrow. So we'll be watching these two levels. Whatever we finish at tomorrow, I expect it to be a bigger move, whether it's a big dump and we break into this purple channel or we break out into this tan channel. Whichever one we close in tomorrow or closer to, I guess tomorrow, if we don't actually break into them, is the way I suspect us to go for the rest of the week and potentially early next week. The weekly, not a whole lot going on here. We got pretty close to support test. It's hard to tell, but it's about 409.8 is actual support on the weekly bull channel. So while the blue bull channel on the daily has been broken, the daily is slightly different from the weekly. We haven't quite broke through the weekly just yet. So that'll be key to watch tomorrow. And then obviously our 415 resistance. Futures, same thing here. So we broke out of the red bull channel, the smaller one, and we broke down out of the blue bull channel. So we can go ahead and get rid of this here. And then you can see on futures here, it's a little more clear. We're making a really nice top right here. And we kind of see we went up and we're just scaling down here. So I have a feeling CPI is going to be bad tomorrow, and we're going to end up dumping down into the 4,000s on futures tomorrow. That's kind of my gut feeling. But key levels is definitely 40.94. This has been obviously a big support level. And then watching 41.57. Those two are pretty much my lines in the sand. Futures weekly, same thing. Key level is right down here, 4,100. We break 4,100 tomorrow at any point. Whatever happens, I'm going to be bearish. And then let's go over to Apple. Apple is just beyond frustrating. If you guys are in the server, you know I have puts on Apple. They are not doing so hot right now. Apple, it just doesn't want to go down. It just keeps, no matter what it does, no matter what the market's doing. Like today, for instance, Apple finished up 0.03%. NASDAQ was down 1.1%, 1.13%, and SPY was down 0.4%. However, Apple finished green. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So either people think Apple is safe money, so everybody's just putting their money into there right now because they're scared of what's going to happen, or I'm not really sure what's happening right now, but it's quite frustrating. So anyways, I did average down my puts today. I hadn't averaged them down, and it's already a small position. It's about a half of what I usually will play, almost about 66% probably. But that's my last time averaging down. Not averaging down anymore. I was going to close them in today, but I was expecting we were going to dump back down to like 163 range. I was saying on SPY I was expecting a dump too, but obviously it didn't happen. So, oops, sorry. But we didn't dump, so I held on to them. We'll see what happens tomorrow. My goal is no matter what, I'm going to come tomorrow, whether they're red or not. I'm hoping for a red CPI that's going to take Apple down, which usually goes down about 1.5 to 2% if it's really bad, kind of like here in July, in June and then July. If it's like that, I'm going to cut them at open, and then I'll reevaluate from there. But key supports to watch from Apple, which Apple supports will matter more than SPY. SPY is kind of the one that just like irrationally moves, but we got 163.1 right here, 163.2. That was a very strong support, and you can see back on August 5th we bounced off that. And then from there, we will test the Apple Bull channel at 162.1. This is important to me because futures and SPY has broke through this bull channel, so I suspect that Apple will break through theirs now. Sometimes Apple leads the market, and other times SPY will lead Apple. And I think this is a time where Apple is lagging behind. I don't think the buying has stopped in Apple just yet, and I think it will soon. So I think we're going to see this broken. It could happen tomorrow. From there, 160.8 is important, and then our gap fill all the way down here to 157.5. I posted this last week, but historically, the Apple's gaps are usually filled about within 3 days. Almost always it's 3 days. Outside of that, it fills in about 8 days. And we're now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if it doesn't fill in 8 days, then it's usually 11. So it'd be 9, 10, 11. So possibly Monday, we could be looking at a gap fill. However, it could happen tomorrow or the next day. So if we get a bad enough CPI and we really bleed, I'm looking for this either Thursday or Friday to be filled. Resistance-wise, this 165 was a pretty good level today. We did close under it. I feel like we traded on top of it almost all day, though, on Apple. It just pretty much after noon just picked that level, and it just sat there. After that, we're looking at this more strong resistance at 166.5, and then this resistance right here at 168.6. Apple Weekly, like I said, not a lot going on here, not a lot to pay attention to, but key support 161.1, key resistance 172.3. So the VIX is putting a base in. It looks like it's trying to put a base in at least. So this 21.1 level, I mean, we have 1, almost 2, 3, 4, 5 candles now that are failing to break through that. Either way, tomorrow we should get a reaction out of the VIX. Whether this CPI is good or bad, the VIX should go up just in anticipation. So I'll be looking for at least, 22.8 is not very, that's only $1 up, so it's about a 4% rise. But I mean, we've had up to like 22%, you got right here 22%, 7%, 9%, 20%, 22%. So, I mean, it would not be out of the realm for us to see 25 tomorrow. However, if CPI is really good and the markets really like it, we could come all the way down here to this 18 level. And it'd be the first time we're seeing the 18 since April. So, it'll be interesting. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting day with the CPI. It's always a wild card. My personal estimate looking at things with CPI is that it's going to miss. So right now, like I said in the other CPI post I did, they're forecasting a consensus of 8.7. So previous CPI was 8.1. Previous consensus was 8.8. Previous forecast was also 8.8. So this is where it gets interesting, because usually, like I said, the consensus and the forecast are never different, let alone 0.4% different. So usually the last couple CPIs, it's been off by about 0.3%. So even if we're off on consensus, we're still looking at 9%, which markets might like because that's less than 9.1% the previous CPI, and they could take that as a bullish, hey, we're about to rock it. However, the forecast is 9.1%, and if we're off by 0.3% on the forecast, that's 9.4%. I don't know what's going to make this market drop like a rock, but 9.4 CPI might do it. And we got the Cleveland Fed, who, like I said, is usually about 0.3% off. They're predicting for July 8.8%. So that gives us about 9.1%. My theory of what's going to happen is we're going to see 9.2% CPI is my guess, which is slightly worse than previous, so we haven't peaked for sure. I don't think there's enough good in the world right now, inflation-wise, to say we peaked. Yeah, gas came down, but food's gone up just as double what gas has come down, realistically. If you especially if you're buying meat and stuff, meat is outrageous right now. And I'm talking to the butchers and stuff, it's only going to get worse. So my thoughts are this: we get a 9.2 CPI, we're going to open 1.5%ish down, about 405.1 here. We're going to hold this support, and then we're going to rally back up and close over the 100 EMA. Markets are going to understand CPI sucks, because we already know that, but they're going to understand Jay Powell ain't going to do anything about it right now because there's no FOMC meeting with a rate hike until September, and we have another CPI before then. So as long as we don't get a wild 9.4, 9.5% CPI, I think markets are still going to react to it. They're going to react negatively because that's what happens. However, just like last CPI, I think we're going to rally. And they're going to say, you know what, the CPI sucked, but we have one more CPI to try to get it under control and to let the rate hikes work, our tools work, be nimble, before we have to worry about a rate hike. And like I said, we're already, let me see if I can look it up real quick what we're looking at here. Fed rate hike wise, so let me do it. So we're still pricing in right now a 55% chance of a 75 basis point hike and a 45% chance of a 50 basis point hike. So that is still slowly going up over time. They're pricing in more and more now this 75 basis point hike. So two scenarios are we get a terrible CPI, that 75 basis point hike is now going to go up to like a 75, 90% chance, and we might even start thinking about pricing in a 100 basis point hike. So the market does tank and we start seeing the 390s, or CPI comes in anywhere basically 9.1 and lower, and markets are going to go down in the morning, and then we're going to rally, and they're going to know what's coming already. They already know we're going to get a 75 basis point hike, so a bad CPI isn't a big deal. However, an extremely bad CPI is about the only thing I think that's going to really take us down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, I'm holding a Friday expiration 152.5 Apple put, down about 53% right now. Like I said, it was pretty red. I averaged down this morning. When I was hoping Apple was going to get a sell-off. I was hoping to get out below 50% red today, but risk to reward, it's not that big a position, so it's not going to ruin my week if it goes all the way red. So I'm letting it ride. Plans to close in the morning. Today I took two put plays. I played this drop right here for a nice 29% gain, and then I played a little quick scalp right here end of day for about a 16.7% gain. I should have traded right here. This was pretty much a perfect setup right here to play puts all the way down, but I told myself I had a plan. I was going to wait till 2 p.m. and I was expecting us to drop down somewhere around here, but it didn't happen. That's what the last couple CPIs done, so that's what I was hoping for. So I had a plan, stuck to it. I'm proud of myself for sticking to my plan, being patient all day long. Still got a nice win. Still a great week so far, so all right, guys. I'll see you guys in the morning with CPI. I'll have a pre-market up in the Discord to kind of update where we're at and what levels we're at and things like that. It's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. Be patient. Be ready to protect your profits. Thank you for tuning into this video. If you like the video, go ahead and like and follow me just to support the page. I provided my Discord link here. This is the lifetime link, so sometimes there's issues with this. If you have any issues, just go ahead and send me a message and I'll get you a temporary link that'll work. Some benefits of the Discord is I do a pre-market update with some key support and resistance levels to watch. Throughout the day, I'm on there doing live commentary on SPY and the general market with updates about key levels that are broken. I also do live trade alerts. Currently, it's $20 per month, or $228 for the year. If you want to follow me, I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit under Daddy Dersh. Thank you.